landing number 60 on the Inc. 5000 list.
Y'all go ahead and come on there, man.
We're
about to have
in America. So if you want to learn the hijacking strategy,
as well as you guys in a minute.
Strategies, you can click the link below to download my entire
But the process in a minute.
Playbook for free. I'm Alric Heck,
and the topic, guys,
Ad Outreach is known as the leading YouTube consulting company for coaches and consultants looking to master
the topic of this show
and scale their business on the most profitable, sustainable, and reliable platform for attracting.
The topic of the show will be more or less talking about the struggles that we have in our society,
what is going on today?
but also as we struggle in our broader society. I want to talk about the lack of accountability, but also I want to talk about this so-called nebulous pro-blackness. You know, it's funny with Umar. I like Umar. Umar has some good points, but Umar's the kind of man I would call an unconscious simp. I told you guys there are two types of simps. There's the conscious simp and the unconscious simp. The conscious simp stands for sacrificing important masculine principles. That's what the conscious simp is. He sacrifices important masculine principles. The conscious simp knows what he's doing is wrong, guys, but he's not more or less concerned about expediency. He's more concerned about money, power, and prestige. And then you got the unconscious simp. That's a lot of men that have not been born with fathers and more or less haven't had the tutelage of masculine men. And the conscious simp unconscious simp stands for sacrificing important male patterns of behavior. That's the unconscious simp. The word spam is a word that I created to talk about simps that pander against men. And see, when you think about a simp that pander against men, what's up, sweetie? What's up, red lipstick? What's up, XL Pro? What's up, brother? But when you think about simps that pander against men, they cause a lot of distress, sadly, in society, and they cause a lot of stress in the community, because a simp is not a man of principle. A simp will say and do anything that he needs to do to garner favor. A simp many times is what you call the nice guy. He's a nice guy, and he plays to the ego of women, because he knows that if he tells women what they want to hear, then it's going to get him brownie points. And so you got two types once again, and simp should be in the DSM-5, by the way. You got the conscious simp, and you got the unconscious simp. And I got Umar Johnson on the front of the cover, and I got also Bella Batchers on the front of the cover. And once again, I like some of the talking points of Umar Johnson. But I think Umar Johnson is a unconscious simp. And once again, a simp is just a person that knows something is right internally, but they'll say or do whatever is necessary to get favor from the masses. If you think about Umar Johnson, this man has been talking about the school for the last 10 years. The school has never come into fruition. You know, many in the pro-black circle say Ashe, I see, or Ashe. Maybe they need to say to Umar, Ashe, because it's highly dusty that you haven't got the school and brought the school into fruition. And a man of principle is a man of his word. He says what he means. He means what he says. He doesn't lie to folks that garner or to get respect or to get more or less power. He's just a straight up dude. And we live in a world now, there's so many things going on with Ukraine, with the war, with inflation at an all-time high, so many other things going on. And we live in a time where it's not expedient to be a simp. Because as we continue to live in this crazy world and the world continues to spin out of control, women are going to be looking for men that are honest, men that are forthright, if they want to be led by a masculine man, and they've done the work mentally. And they're going to want to be led by men that's going to keep it real and not tell them what they want to hear. But once again, guys, Bella Bachelor often talks about male talking points and male issues. And as I said before earlier, the conscious simp and the unconscious simp does on different things. A lot of men that are simps come from broken homes. They struggle with masculine men, just like some of these women that have been traumatized. They struggle with women that are honest, and they struggle many times, guys, because the man that they see and the man that stand on principles remind them of the father that they never had. Some of this stuff is what we call psychopathological. It reminds them of the father that they never had. So therefore, they project their anger towards other men because they never had a father to speak life into them. That's a sign of an unconscious simp. And it becomes problematic, guys, for a myriad of reasons, because sometimes a simp is more dangerous than a woman. Because now you got a man that has testosterone coursing through his veins, but his hard drive is like a woman. And it's a problem, like I said, for a myriad of reasons, because men should be leading their women instead of allowing women to lead them with emotions and manipulation. So simps are like spam. They're not like kosher meat, because kosher meat is organic, it's pure. It's like Kobe beef or Wagyu. It's pure. It don't have a lot of additives and fat. But a lot of modern men are just like spam. Spam is a cheap man's meal. We all have eaten spam before with pork and beans, or we're eating spam with eggs. And spam is actually good, but it's full of salt, it's full of nitrates, it's full of fillers, it's full of chicken parts, it's full of ham, pork. It's full of a lot of crap that's not healthy for you. And that's what simps are. Simps are full of anger, bitterness, vitriol. Simps are full of a lot of stuff because simps are bitter men. They're broken men. Simps have arrested development. Simps have not adequately healed from the pain of not having a father in their life. And so many of these men are what I call unconscious simps, once again, because what they do, they sacrifice important, or more or less, they supplement irrational male patterns of behavior. A simp will supplement irrational male patterns of behavior. He will supplement irrational male patterns of behavior. Simps have a pattern of behavior, and it's irrational because, see, what a simp does, a simp thinks that by pandering to a woman, a simp thinks by placating to a woman, a simp thinks by telling women what they want to hear will give them power, but it doesn't give them power. It actually makes women not respect them nonetheless. And once again, a lot of modern men are spam. Simps pandering against men because they're processed meat. They don't have anything good in them because they're full of pain and brokenness and envy and jealousy and ego. They're full of all the things that are not consistent with masculinity. Now listen, as men by nature are very competitive. I'm very competitive. If you're a man about your purpose, if you're a man about your business, you like to win. You don't like coming in last. I don't like to come in last. I don't like to lose. I got a big ego. I like to win. But I would never undercut another man for the sake of winning. Everything I strive to do is fit and proper. And because we got so much dysfunction in our society, you got a lot of men that are recipients of spam, simps pandering against me. I might even do a series about that called spam. And in a world where there's so much chaos, in a world where male leadership needs to be amplified instead of turned down, you still got men, because they got unresolved mental health issues, they got unresolved mental illness, that would do everything in their power to silence healthy, active men. They'll do everything in their power to silence masculinity and men that try to do things based on masculine principles and masculine virtues. And, you know, I worked in law enforcement, guys, and one of the greatest indicators of children, one of the greatest indicators of children being caught up in recidivism it's not having fathers in their home. That was the greatest indicator of recidivism, was the lack of fathers in the home. And so when boys don't have fathers in the home, they don't have identity, they don't have purpose, and they don't have meaning. As I said last week, that's why suicide rates are so high for so many young boys now. Suicide rates are higher for boys now because a lot of these boys are recipients of spam. And see, in the past, men knew when to speak and men knew when to be silent. But the time when men should be speaking, which is now, they're not speaking, they're remaining in a stupor called silence because they don't want to offend anybody. And Frederick Douglass said that power never conceded to anyone without a struggle. Frederick said it never have or it never will. And so we got a generation of men that are full of spam, simps pandering against men. They're processed men. They're not organic. They're not genuine. They don't have the intestinal fortitude of their grandfather. You might ask the question, what was the intestinal fortitude of their grandfather? The intestinal fortitude of their grandfathers and men of the past was word is bond. Their yes was yes, their no's were no's. They stood on principle. They knew the struggles and the rights of manhood. Their yes was yes and their no's were no. They would put women in place when they got out of line. They were men of integrity. They were men of principle. They weren't perfect men, but they were men of integrity. But they were not spam like so many modern men now. A lot of modern men are spam. And they will do everything in their power to silence other men that are on their grind, on their purpose, speak out against BS behavior, speak out against women that are not doing what they need to do. They'll speak out against injustice, and they will take a stand even unto death. And you're right, KP from KC5, word is bond, no doubt, respect. And that's what we said in the past. We would say the word is bond. Our yes was yes, and our no's was no. But we don't have that anymore, guys. We don't have the intestinal fortitude of yesterday. And see, I grew up in the Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal Holiness Church. I grew up in the Holiness Church. And the modern preacher is complicit in creating spam. Once again, simps pandering against men. On Father's Day is about to come up. And shout out to my man, Mr. Cash Out, for that. I think, hold on. Shout out to that brother. Shout out to my man, Mr. Cash Out, for that $5 Cash Out. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kindness, man. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you, sir. And you're right, T. Kings, a handshake used to seal the deal. Yes, sir. The Winans made a song, guys, back in the past called Bring Back the Days of Yea and Nay. And I still live by that ethos. I still strive to live by that ethos. And I struggle when a man tells me he's going to do something and he doesn't do it, because I still live by that ethos. I still believe the word is bond. I still say I got you. And I'm not going to ever undercut another man for the sake of trying to move to the top. But a lot of these guys they don't care about that. They'll cut your throat. They'll sit back and study your talking points and try to steal your talking points. They'll be in the clouds. They know what you're saying is true. They won't support you. If you say something they don't like, they'll go to a whole another damn channel. And you're not doing nothing wrong. They'll look at all the good you did, and they'll minimize all the good that you did based on one thing that you said, and they move on. And so they don't stand firm on masculine principles anymore. And so you got a lot of boys that got unresolved and men that got unresolved issues, because the masculine men that are on their square, the masculine men that are on their grind, the masculine men that are living their lives on out into fruition, they remind them of the father that they never had. And so Umar Johnson, once again, let's get back to Umar, is a recipient of spam. He's a simp that panders against men, but I think Umar Johnson is what's called a conscious simp. And pun intended, no pun intended, he's a conscious black, but he's a conscious simp, because Umar Johnson knows what he's doing, in my opinion. But Umar understands that most of his money comes from women. And so he got to say what's necessary, to get the donations, to get the money, to get whatever he's getting from women, to get his needs met. And that's the problem with the broader society now. We live in a world now where people don't want to stand up for what's right anymore. It's more expedient to tell people a lie than it is to tell people the truth. And when other clarion callers try to speak up or speak out, it becomes problematic. And I was listening to Bella Bachelor last night, and he was saying we got here because we allowed it. And Bella Bachelor is correct. We got here because we allowed it. Some of the men did not speak out. They allowed the liberal talking points of modern women to more or less besmirch what they were trying to do as men. They didn't stand firm for what they wanted as men because they used or allowed reverse psychology and shaming language based on a concept guys call static blackness. Umar and many pro-blacks teach static blackness. They teach or more or less assert that all black folks are a monolith. They assume just because we are black, then we all think alike and we should have the same worldview, and we don't. When we came on this slave ship, guys, from Africa, we came from different tribes, from different parts of West Africa. The religions were different. Some say, well, Christianity is the white man's religion. It's not. That's a lie. Christianity is not the white man's religion. Christianity came out of Africa. Did the white man use Christianity as a tool to more or less manipulate black folks? Yes, some did, not all, because there were white people that used Christianity also as a point of liberation. We always talking about the white man that used the Bible for something negative, but there were white people that used the Bible, like the Puritans and the Quakers, and some of the Jews that supported black folks in their ascension with liberation. But once again, now you got damn near 60 years of men that are spam. You know, I came up in a time, guys, I was born back in 71. And being born in 71, I believe there were about 26% of kids that were raised in intact, didn't have fathers in the homes. Now we got a generation of processed meat, just like we got a generation of processed food. Processed meat, just like processed food, makes an unhealthy mind, and it makes an unhealthy body. And a lot of these men are going through psychopathology, and they don't even understand it. That's why they struggle with other masculine men that handle their business and do what they're supposed to do. And once again, our greatest threat, even though the Keishas play a role, but our greatest threat, in my opinion, are simps. And these simps are full of spam because they are simps that pander against masculinity. And so when you have pro-blacks like Umar Johnson, that talks about how the black woman is a queen, he talks about standing in power, he affirms the black woman is God. But yet a lot of these women are tied into liberal talking points and liberal ideologies that are not consistent with trying to form a more perfect union as it relates to black relationships. I'm convinced, guys, that what was is gone. We're not going to see what happened when we were kids growing up in the 90s. That's over with. It's not going to continue. It's not going to proliferate once again in our lifetime. Southern Vegan said, because I had a father who raised me, I focus on high character for my sons. No doubt. No doubt. I respect that, bro. My dad is 80 years old. He's a good man. And it was more normal back in the 70s. It was normal for the neighbors to discipline your kids. It was normal for communities to stick together. It was normal for the black women in the past to assist other black women into nurturing the children. But our women were compromised. They were compromised by liberal policies. They were compromised by liberal ideas. They were compromised by liberal talking points, to the point now you got simps coming on my page. Let me read this comment. Coming on my page saying that, Ebony Williams having a test tube, baby, it's okay. And so when I see stuff like that, it reminds me, guys, that these men could be unconscious simps. Because see, Paul said when I was a child, I spoke as a child. But then Paul turned around and said, when I became a man, I put away childish things. And one of the things I've always said, guys, in the past, that manhood is a series of hills and valleys. victories and failures. Manhood is a series of hills and valleys, victories and failures. No one can tell you how to be a man. It's a manhood is it's not static, it's fluid, because there are many channels and streams that form and shape you into manhood. And some of it you learn through trial and error, but then some of it you learn from the galvanization of other men that teach you the importance of masculinity. And so that's why we live in a world now where men don't stand up. They're simps. They are simps, and they are spam. When I try to help other men, guys, sometime in therapy, those same damn men will turn on me when I try to help them and say, look, sir, you need to start setting standards for your marriage. You need to start setting limits for your marriage. You need to hold your wife accountable. But those same men will pander against me because they're afraid of their wives. They say partnerships instead of saying husband-wife dynamic. And let me read this comment from this young man that appears to be a simp. Let me read this comment. Because there's a lot of simping going on, and some don't know that they're simping because they are unconscious simps. And as I said once before, guys, the unconscious simp supplements important masculine principles. That's what the unconscious simp does. And so this simp said, I think it makes sense for her, Ebony Williams, to have a kid if she doesn't want to be married. She needs to be able to pass on her assets she got. She has real assets, I would imagine, and she wants her bloodline to continue. But the way a person's bloodline continues, guys, is through the father, because the father gives life. The father gives direction. The father gives stability. The father gives balance. The father gives purpose, and the father gives peace. But now we don't have that anymore. We don't have intact families like we used to. And a lot of our women are so liberally indoctrinated. When we try to stand firm on masculine virtues and masculine principles, many turn the other ear. They don't want to hear it because they are deaf. And deaf stands for, once again, they deny the evidence. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue to ad hominem attacks, where they attack the messenger instead of the message, and they will fight you or flee. And so we got a generation of men that don't understand masculine virtues. We got a generation of men that don't know what it's like to say word is bond, my yes is yes, and my no is no. We got a generation of men that when other men speak, some of them will sabotage other men because they have their own insecurities. And we got a generation of men that need validation, and so they will subvert any and all things pertaining to masculinity for the sake of appeasing a woman. And once again, that is a simp. Once again, simps stands for spam. Simps pandering against men. They pander against men. They pander against men for a multiplicity of reasons. And some of it is pathological, and they don't realize that it's pathological because, like I said, some of it is unconscious. And as I said before, once again, the unconscious simp stands for supplementing irrational male patterns of behavior. Because these men are not men, they are males. Because remember, we are born males, but we become men. We are born males, but we become men through trials. We become men through pain. We become men through the struggle. Our struggle is what makes us men, because we learn from our mistakes. We learn how to stand firm in our masculine pursuits, and we don't compromise what we believe in for the sake of appeasing anyone. Let me tell you, men, something. I talked about it last week. If anybody tell you to change your virtues or change your principles for the sake of appeasing a community, and it's a core value of yours, or appeasing a woman, you run. If the preacher tell you to stand up, like I've heard people say in the past, stand up and marry these baby mamas that got kids by multiple men, you damn run. If somebody tell you to compromise your core values, I'm talking about core values. I'm not talking about things that are not core. Some things are not necessarily core values. But if a man tell you, well, you need to compromise your core values for X, Y, Z, run. Or you tell that man firm that I'm not doing that. Because if it doesn't benefit me as a man, why would I compromise my core values trying to appease anyone? But years ago, fathers taught their sons the power and the importance of masculinity. The father taught their sons that. They taught their sons the importance of the struggle. And see, in the past, all boys, guys, went through what was called a rites of passage. That's why we had more men then instead of having simps now. Don't get it wrong. There were times where men in the past said that mama know best, and they would let their woman run stuff sometime. But men of old, when a woman would get on the line and say, woman, you need to go sit down. We're not going to talk about that right now. And James Evans was an archetype of that manifestation. But you don't have it anymore because anything that's more or less pertaining to heteronormative masculinity has been subverted to a concept called jamming. They were trying to jam you into not saying what you believe in, not saying what you want. And so jamming is a psychological way of making you be quiet and not say what you need to say. And sadly, once again, instead of being clarion callers, many pro-blacks and some of these preachers, instead of them proclaiming the truth and telling the truth, they don't tell the truth, but they are snake whisperers. They tell the women what they want to hear because they know they don't tell them what they want to hear, they're not going to get money. And so when righteous women and when righteous men try to lead or more or less tell the truth, they are silenced because they don't want to hear what they're saying. They don't want to hear what righteous men and righteous women are saying. Therefore, they will silence those people because they don't want to hear the truth. And so Bella Batchelor said something that was powerful and different to my man Umar Johnson. And like I said, some of the talking points of Umar Johnson from a clinical perspective I do respect because I am a licensed professional like he is. He's a doctor in psychology. I have a license in clinical social work. I have several degrees. I have 3 degrees. And but it ain't all about the degrees, guys. Some of this stuff is just damn common sense. And so we went from being a vibrant people to being manipulated by liberal oligarchs, being manipulated by women like Margaret Sanger. These preachers were manipulated. Some of them, not all. Some of the preachers were manipulated. And now they're using black women as emissaries, the ones in power, as emissaries against black men by putting them in the positions of power, but not more or less giving black men the power that can be necessarily used for the funneling and the building of strong communities and strong kids. But see, Evelyn K. Williams proves what we've always known, guys, that many don't want black men for leadership. Many don't want them for leadership, and many don't want black men for balance. They just want black men as a utility. They want black men as a utility. It's called the utilization of masculinity or the commodification of subjugation. They want men only as a tool to be utilized for their own selfish needs and their own selfish benefits. And that's why I took that show I did about a week ago called, y'all need to look at that show. Because in that show, She's a Keeper, what it talks about, guys, is this. In that show, She's a Keeper, it talks about 7 core virtues that you need to look for in a wife and a woman that you want to more or less lead. If that woman doesn't have those 7 core virtues, she's not ready for the office of a wife. And so it's gotten so bad now, guys, with these liberals coming into play, coming into power. And listen, let me say this. I tend to be more traditional. I embrace some conservative talking points, but I am not a card-carrying conservative. And I'm not a card-carrying conservative because many of them are really no different. They don't understand the struggle of masculinity. Some of them don't have the intestinal fortitude to stand up and speak when they should, because I'm going to do a show called What Conservatives Get Wrong About Men's Spaces. And they don't understand why men are checking out. Man should never do anything if it goes against his value system, his core value system. But here's the problem. With so many boys being raised in homes when they don't have fathers, they don't know what their values are. So guess what happens subconsciously? Instead of them taking on the values of masculinity and a masculine man, they take on the values of their mother. The values of the mother is predicated on how a woman feels instead of being predicated based on principle. And so subconsciously, they start thinking like their mothers. And so when they think like their mothers, they do everything based on the gynocentric or based on how mama would think or how mama would feel. And so when they see other masculine men holding bad behavior accountable or calling out other bad men, then they don't like those men because they never saw men stand on purpose. So you got a cycle of dysfunction in a gynocentric order where there is no masculinity, a cycle of dysfunction where men are being taught at an all-time high by women. Listen, I taught school for 5 years. When I taught school for 5 years, guys, I saw the imbalance of male teachers to female teachers. And it's not that because men teachers didn't want to teach. Many times the money wasn't as good or they didn't give men a good position. But you got a generation of boys that's being taught to think like how a woman feels. So what that does by default, what it does, I need you to listen, it compromises their power as men. And so once again, what the conscious simp does, the unconscious simp, he supplements irrational male patterns of behavior. It's irrational to use a woman for bad behavior. It's irrational if you made good choices to get with a woman that's made bad choices. It's irrational to support or more or less reward bad behavior. It's irrational to, if you your whole life have dedicated yourself to discipline and then you get with a woman that was undisciplined. That's irrational behavior. It's irrational that when mama does something wrong, you minimizes the dysfunction of mama. But when daddy does something wrong, you magnify his dysfunction. Because mama was a black queen, even though mama was a dope fiend. And so we keep having these circular conversations. Shout out to Barry Hamilton. We keep having these circular conversations, guys, over and over and over again, because we got a cycle of pathology. We got a cycle of brokenness. And we got a generation of men that don't know what traditional masculinity look like. And anytime men try to be masculine, it's often suppressed by feelings, ignorance, and shame. I think you guys remember when I talked about a while ago, I talked about healthy shame and unhealthy shame. And healthy shame is good for men and women. Shame that's healthy can be good for men and women, because healthy shame doesn't place you in bondage, but healthy shame will liberate you. Healthy shame does not put you in bondage, but healthy shame will liberate you. The problem with now is that anything that's pertaining to shame, when you're standing firm on the truth, many people can't handle it. So when other men come together and say what they want, they'll try to shame you by saying you hate black women or your mom is black. And as I told you guys once before in the past, it's the dumbest proposition in the world, because most black men I know love black women. They just don't like the behavior. But it becomes a very circular conversation, an echo chamber of the same talking points, because the behaviors continue. What we're seeing now is a microcosm. It's becoming a macrocosm. We see it in the music. We see it in the outward behaviors of some of these women, and you begin to see it at an all-time high. And so nowadays, when you try to stand firm on what you believe in, you don't know if that man got your best interest. Anton Daniels, somebody sent me a clip by Anton. Shout out to Anton. And Anton was talking about how some of these male content creators are snakes. And Anton is correct. And let me tell you guys something. Some of these male content creators that project that they're masculine are really simps. I study them. I don't say nothing, but they're simps. And you would think that they have control in their house, but they don't have control in their homes. You would think that they would challenge their woman when they get out of line, but they don't. But when they talk with you, they'll tell you a different narrative. They'll tell you about being masculinity, about being masculine. They'll tell you about what you should and shouldn't do. But in actuality, they don't have that same power in their own home. Just like the preacher that was talking about his wife is not, Christ is the head of him and his wife. Instead of him saying definitively that I'm the head of my home, I'm the leader of my wife, and I'm the protector of my kids. And if my wife get out of line, there's a consequence, and my children. But they can't say, and they won't say it, because a lot of these men are charlatans. They wear a facade to more or less convince you that they're one thing, but in actuality, they're something else. And that's why I tell you men over and over and over again, there becomes a time where there got to be a line of demarcation, and you got to stand firm in what you believe in. There becomes a time when there got to be a line of demarcation, and you got to stand firm in what you believe in as a man. If you're not willing to stand firm in what you believe in as a man, then you're not ready for the arduous task of masculinity. Because as I said before, guys, manhood is a series of hills and valleys, victories and failures. Listen, manhood is a series of hills and valleys, victories and failures. And what men went through years ago was a rite of passage. Now, was it always right when, you know, sometimes they would say, stop crying, boy, stop being a sissy, and just deal with it? I don't know if that's always right. I understood why they did it, because back then men didn't have time to sit back and worry about no feelings and cry. The world was tough, the world was harsh, the world was cold. So you didn't have time to worry about feelings. You were trying to survive. I think they could have been more humane in understanding men and saying, look, son, I know you're hurting. Go ahead and cry and get it out, but you got to get back up and keep going. Because manhood is about going and it's about doing. Men don't have time to then sit up and talk about feelings all the time. I'm not saying you can't cry. Jesus cried when he was about to go to the cross. He didn't like the fact and the pain of dying for the world, so he began to cry. But he didn't stay there, because he understood that his purpose was greater than his temporary pain. He understood that his purpose was greater than his temporary pain. And so you got a generation of men that pander to women. They pander against other traditional women. They'll try to destroy your name. They'll try to destroy your image. And they'll take what you say out of context, because a lot of these men are going through psychopathology. They're going through brokenness. They're going through the pain of yesterday. They're going through the pain of not knowing their fathers. And so they project out to you because they over-identify with female talking points. They're estranged men, and they're men that identify with female talking points. And they're very dangerous. And that's why our society is so broken now, because if you're not careful, you can be a conscious simp, meaning you know what you're doing, or you can become an unconscious simp. Some of you men that are listening, you don't even have standards or boundaries with your mothers or your sisters. Nonetheless, you don't have standards and boundaries with other men. And as the world continues to deteriorate, as inflation continues to go up, as some of these liberal talking points continue to metastasize, as relationships continue to struggle to the point they're struggling now, what we had in yesterday, guys, that's not going to ever come back into fruition. Little Southern Vegan said, hold tight, let me keep going, hold on. I'm going to stop it. Let me go to the other side real quick. Then we'll keep talking. But yeah, but it's going to continue to metastasize, guys. It's still a metastasizer for the good. It's going to metastasize for the worse. And once again, guys, these are the struggles that we're having now. The vibrancy of having strong traditional families, the vibrancy of having good, equitable women is slowly but surely eroding. And what was normal yesterday is abnormal now. And let me tell you something. Some of these oligarchs, some of these Marxist talking points have been very good in subverting and jamming black people and using psychological manipulation, not only on black people, but the American people, and more or less convincing them on ideas and talking points that are not beneficial to what our ancestors stood for. There was a time, guys, I said before in the past, that the black woman was the greatest woman ever. And I'm going to keep saying it. Black women, in my opinion, in the past, were some of the greatest women ever. I would say American women as well. But the black woman was the greatest woman because she was a woman that went through more, but she was compromised. She compromised community. She compromised family. She compromised the struggle that we once had because she wanted to be like white women. She wanted the same privileges and rights as white women, some of them, many of them. And you know, they always talk about black men never built, black men never did this, black men never did that. But for a long time, guys, black men gave a lot to the world. Black men, many times, guys, sacrifice their own dignity, their own desires for the sake of family. How many black farmers do you guys know, and black men as you guys know in general, that sacrifice their own happiness and freedom for the sake of a woman? How many of you men know other black your grandfathers that were farmers, and they more or less instead of them I ran over a bump. But anyway, instead of them going to school themselves, because I saw them in my family, instead of them going to school, they worked the farm. Many black men worked the farm back in the day. Instead of them going to school, they worked the farm, and they sacrificed their own happiness for the sake of family. They sacrificed their own happiness for the sake of legacy. They forfeited their own happiness for the sake of their woman. And so while women were going to school, getting educated, a lot of men didn't go to school. They worked the farms, remained uneducated, but those same women did come back and respect and honor their husbands. But you don't hear that part about black men's struggle and black male sacrifice. You don't hear that part, because everything now is always through the veneer of men being Mr. On the color purple. So once again, back to what I was saying about spam. You got a lot of men dealing with transgenerational trauma. They haven't dealt with their trauma from the past, and they're transmitting a lot of that trauma to other masculine men. They see other masculine men as icons of hate. They see other productive masculine men as the man they could never be. And so they struggle with your image as a man. They struggle with your ability to speak out, because they don't have the power and the courage to speak truth to power. They don't have the kahunas to tell their woman no. They don't have the kahunas to tell that toxic mom, nah, mom, I love you, but you're wrong. They don't have the courage to say anything, because they have been conditioned to think like their mother instead of thinking like masculine men. And when you try to call them out on their behavior, then all of a sudden it's a problem. Little Southern Vegan said, kosher, the root issue is most women don't know what true femininity looks like. Oh yeah, I agree with that. They don't know what it looks like, and many of them don't care what it looks like. And sadly, a lot of men don't know what this looks like, because once you get it, once you get that raw true femininity, you will never be the same again. Shout out to my man Greg Scott, always showing love. And Greg, if you're just coming in, man, shout out to Sister Bashur and Greg. If you're just coming in, I'm talking about the dichotomy between men like Umar Johnson and men like Bella Bachelor. And once again, Bella Bachelor was correct, and I'm gonna play his video in a minute when he says that we allow this men. Greg, I thought about you, and I got a new show, Gregor, dedicated just for you, called Return of the Prize Catcher, Never Bow. It's going to be a very powerful, comprehensive show, Return of the Prize Catcher, Never Bow. And the talking points, Gregory, of I can't think of his name, Bella Bachelor, is what you've always talked about, where men have compromised their power by allowing unsavory women to join the conversation. And that's led to what's called conscious simping, sacrificing important masculine principles. I love sisters like Sister Bashur that come into the men chats, and she's a good, righteous sister. And she comes in to listen and learn. She doesn't come in to change the conversation. So if a woman is coming in and she's complimenting what we're saying, or she's being silent and listening and observing to teach other women, I have no problems with that. That's why I respect this sister highly. But there are some women that come into men talking points to subvert and change the conversation, to use what's called psychological jamming on men to make them bow to their whims and to make them bow to an agenda. And see, the thing with me, they can't do it to me because I am a licensed therapist. I am a professional. I know how and when people are doing it. That's why it never worked on me. Or they'll stop supporting you for whatever reason. I'm not worried about that. Thank God I work for myself and I make good money as a therapist. Because if I didn't work for myself, I would be in a world of trouble. I had to rely on YouTube, or I would have to do something totally different outside of what I'm trying to do. But Gregory says, shout out to Gregory being the #1 sponsor, followed by KP from KC5. He said, hi, Kosher. It's so bad with Simps that there were two that criticized Crimson for her critique of black women on it might be risky. One was a simp. Yeah, right. Yes, sir, Gregory. You're 100% correct, brother. You're right, Gregory. Yeah. See, simps, not only do they attack men, but they attack righteous women like Crimson, and they attack traditional women like Bashur, or any traditional woman, whether she's Christian, Hebrew, Muslim, anything that's more or less adhering to traditional masculinity or traditional norms, they will attack it because they don't want to hear the truth. And so, once again, these men are a byproduct of spam. I call these men, Gregory Scott and Bashur, and those that are coming in, they're spam. They are simps pandering against men. And spam, once again, is not kosher. It ain't nothing kosher about spam. But spam is full of processed food, processed meat, and processed parts. They don't have the parts of masculinity from the past. Because the parts of masculinity from the past was organic, like the chickens we ate. When you go back to rural eastern North Carolina, back to the west or central North Carolina, chickens were about the size of your hand. They weren't real big. They were small chickens. And so the chickens of the past was organic. They were kosher chickens. They didn't have a lot of additives or preservatives. But a lot of these men now, they got a lot of additives and preservatives just like spam. And there's nothing organic about them. Some of these jackasses that come on your channel and try to steal your talking points, they'll try to use your channel as a way to spark their own channel. Some of these same damn men that talk about their masculine men on YouTube, they're simps in their home life because they won't check their women. See, I know what a conscious simp and an unconscious simp look like. They got a soft belly, a soft underbelly. They're like marshmallows. And as I told you guys before in the past, I don't believe men should abuse power. Men, I need you to listen. If you got a good woman that knows what she's doing, she's smart, she's talented, let that woman do certain things in that home. If that woman is good with money and finance, let that woman handle it. But all roads end in Rome. They still got to go do the man. But now, with this new terminology like partnership and all that nonsense and foolishness, healthy men can't be men anymore. And so when you see people that celebrate Ebony K. Williams, when you got women that come on my channel, and look, this is what another woman said. Let me read this other woman. This woman said, I'm not going to even call her name, but she said, better question is, why are men taking personal offense? Why are men taking personal offense about these women not needing them? This is what this woman said. Why are men taking personal offense? Listen, some women are so idiotic that it's not about men needing them, because most of the men that listen to my channel, I don't think they want the typical modern woman because they don't offer anything. But they're so selfish and entitled and narcissistic in areas that they compromise the happiness, or they compromise the greater collective of black unity or American unity for the sake of their own selfish needs. When you bring a baby into this world without having a mother and a father, a mother can only give that baby a certain aspect of femininity from a woman's perspective. But that child can see daddy and what a man look like and how a man should lead, and how she should never compromise her standards. Fathers teach their daughters standards and boundaries and what to look for in a leader. But if she's seen it only through her mother and her grandmother, how can she tell that woman, or how can that woman tell a girl or show that girl the other side of what she should be getting from her father? And so you got these women that have been liberally indoctrinated that make stupid comments. This woman, better question why men are taking personal offense about these women not needing them. And see, listen, guys, these are the same women that will say years later, when the world hit the fan, when the world is in crisis, or when the world is going in turmoil, they'll say black men don't protect us. But what these idiots don't understand is this: Black men would not protect what they don't control. And people struggle with healthy control and unhealthy control. In science, there's a control group. That means that's the group that got the intervention. And then there's a non-control group. That's the group that didn't get the intervention. So there's healthy control and unhealthy control. You're supposed to have healthy control in your family. A man's supposed to have healthy control in his family. If you get with a woman, guys, to tell you, I can't be with a man that control me, run. Because if you don't have control and order, you're going to have chaos. Because a lot of these modern women are like wildfire. They're just like a wildfire. They can't be contained. They don't want anything. And so what they do after, listen, let me show you guys something. Let me show you guys something. Everything you guys see, I'm at the park right now. Everything you guys see, man created this. Mankind created all the ingenuity, the cars, the homes, all this stuff you guys see. Man created it. Man created all of this stuff. Your grandfathers, white men and black men, even though white men and black men had their differences. And but black men, primarily, we built the South. So you guys see this beautiful park. This park is beautiful. Men built this damn park. They built this car that I'm driving in. But they'll say black women don't need them. Of course, it's a speaking to say you don't need a man there after black men and all men created everything you benefit from. Everything that men benefit, everything that you benefit from, men created. So it's easy to say we don't need men now because men created the world. But once again, a time is coming. You're going to be glad that you have a man in your presence. You're going to be grateful if a man come in your presence and support you and talk to you. When the world start getting worse and worse and worse, you're going to be honored to have a man in your presence submit to a man's authority. Because by 2030, 45% of women are not going to have children and they're going to be single. And I got a show coming up, guys, called Fur Babies, because some of these women are worshiping dogs and seeing these dogs as humans, as substitutes for humans, because they're so selfish. And once again, you got a lot of spam. You got a lot of spam, and you got a lot of men that simps that pander against other men. And they do it consistently over and over again. You're right, simps. Chris will call these males hyenas. Yeah, they're hyenas. That's funny. Yeah, they are hyenas. They are hyenas. And they're also full of spam, simps that pander against men. Because once again, guys, there's a conscious simp and there's an unconscious simp. This same woman, guys, said at the thekosherclinician, y'all are all way too caught up in what you think each person is, what each person in a partnership should be doing. And see, when you hear these kind of talking points, guys, you know these people are ignorant and they're brainwashed. Because a marriage is not a partnership. Marriage was never meant to be a partnership. A marriage was meant to have a husband and a wife, with the man being the leader and the woman following his leadership. The cost and the sacrifices of being a man was that the woman follow his leadership because the greatest burden is on the man. But you got a lot of men now calling their wives their partners, but they wonder why their relationships are so broken and distorted. Because they don't stand firm on masculine virtues or masculine principles. Because they see their wife as a partner, their woman as a partner, instead of seeing their woman as a wife. A woman that's a wife will help her man and help her man in his mission. That's what a woman's supposed to be. She's supposed to support you in your mission. And then on the back end, you're supposed to provide for her, protect her, and die. I know women are working now, but still the money that woman get, instead of men saying, I'm gonna let her keep her money, no, that money should be for the family. That money should go into a pot that's gonna bring and keep building a legacy. Not saying she can't keep a percentage of it, but all roads should come to her husband. That's where it should come. But you can't have that conversation there with so many guys because they don't want to hear. But this woman said, y'all are too caught up in what you think each person in a partnership should be doing. Men do not need women until it's time for kids. But that's a lie. Men need women outside of kids. Men now suffer from something called affection deprivation. You got a lot of men suffering psychologically from affection deprivation. Men need women to ground them sometimes. That's why when men get married, their testosterone levels drop. Some will argue that good women keep men from being as aggressive as they could potentially be. Women do not need men until it's time for kids, but both sides can go to the clinic and figure it out without much involvement from the other sex nowadays. If that fact bothers you, then that's a whole other thing that needs to be unpacked. Y'all are confusing being wanted with being needed. And what this person don't understand is this: men not only want to be wanted, but men also want to be needed. They'll say, I want you, but I don't need you. But part of male psychology and male symmetry is feeling needed. What's the purpose of having a man? If a woman was made for man, if she was made for man, then that man would not only want her, but that man would need her to help her ground him periodically. Men don't need women for survival. Mankind don't need women for survival. But a man want to be wanted by a woman, but also that man need that woman too. And needing don't always come by the way of finances. Sometimes the need can come by male validation or validating that man's ego. Just like that woman needs that man to more or less validate her ego. Men and women both got an ego. And so, and they say, I'm not confusing anything. And they say, and y'all be too inflexible what a real partnership looks like. This person's still using that damn stupid word partnership. And once again, a marriage is not a partnership. I don't believe in partnerships. I believe the man is the husband, the woman is the wife, and they both work as a team. But that's not a partnership, because a partnership would mean that y'all take turns doing things. Y'all are equal in power and y'all are equal in authority. And I don't believe that. I don't believe my wife is equal to me in leadership. My wife is my support. My wife is my vice president, but I'm the captain of the ship and she's the co-captain. I'm the captain and she is the co-captain, meaning she follows my leadership if I'm not present. Whatever I teach her, she teaches the children. And so that's how it's supposed to be. The man teach the woman teach the children, and then they teach the community in the collective. But now women want the protection and the provision of a man without his leadership because they're rebellious. If that fact bothers you, then that's a whole nother thing. And you build up this ideal in your head of what you've been told it should look like. Yes, jackass. It ain't what I've been told is what I look. I know what it looks like because I know how societies run. In societies where, listen, this holding damn construct is something phenomenal. For the last 3,000 years or more, things have been normal. But look how dysfunctional things are now with this new ideology. And you built up in your idea of what it should have been told, what you've been told what it should look like, what you want it to look like, that you can't reconcile it with the growing reality that standards are changing. Listen, there's one thing to evolve if it's going to lead to productivity. You should be evolving if in your evolution you're seeing progress and you're seeing sustainability. But you should never evolve to the point where you subvert what was once normal for something that's abnormal, that's based in Marxism. You should never subvert that. So the problem with this silly woman is saying, no, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, they want men to change. They want men to change their talking points. They want men to change their masculine hard frame or hard drive, but they don't want to change. So they want us to be modern while they want men to be traditional while they remain modern. And that's why we got so much chaos in the world. That you can't reconcile it with the growing reality, the standards are changing. You have to figure out what works for your partnership. Ma'am, once again, ma'am or sir, I don't give a shit about no partnership. I don't believe in no partnership. You're not my damn partner. Because if you really are a partner, then when things start getting busy, you take your partner ass outside and you handle business. When things get bad, then you need to take your partner ass outside and change the tires. When things get bad, you need to do what a damn partner does. Meaning, you're not going to call no damn triple S or triple A. When somebody go down in the house and break into the house, you take your ass out downstairs and go defend the house. And we take turns doing that. But once again, they want a partnership when it benefits them, but they don't want the traditional righteous leadership of a man. And once again, you got a generation of weak men, and shout out to Top Gun, because Top Gun and I talk about this all the time, and I think Top Gun is right. I knew there were dusty men. I know there were weak men, you know, but it's a thin line between masculine, strong, heteronormative men and men that are spam. And men that are spam are simps that pander against masculinity. They pander against heteronormative masculinity, and that's a problem. Top Gun said, I give good love. I buy your clothes. I cook your dinner too. Soon as I get home from work, work girl too. The National Panda Bear anthem, you may proceed. Yeah, man, you're right, Top Gun. You're 100% correct, Top Gun. That's the damn simp anthem. Because these idiots that tell me I should evolve and change my thing, I'm not changing what's been traditional, what's worked for society for the last damn 3,000 years. You look at your talking point, I don't know what you are, man or woman, and look at my talking point, and those other countries, there's stability. But once again, these women are rebellious because it's part of original sin. They want leadership over the man. They want to be equal partners with the man or equal leadership with the man because many have penis envy, and they don't want to follow male leadership. It's literally that simple, guys. They don't want to follow male leadership until doo-doo hit the fan. Once doo-doo hit the fan, then all of a sudden, they want to follow male leadership. And so, hold on for a minute. You built this idea in your head of what you think what should be told should look like, that you can't reconcile it with the growing reality standards are changing. You have to figure out, I don't have to figure out nothing, not what your parents had, not what anyone else had from you. I say BS. What my parents had worked, what other societies have worked. I ain't got to figure a damn thing out. I know what's right and I know what's wrong, and all this damn liberal indoctrination. And let me tell you guys something. This new generation of women are messed up in the head. They're highly entitled. They're highly narcissistic. They don't respect traditional black women, traditional white women. And that's why I say, guys, it's going to take something cataclysmic to happen to destroy the current foundation. And the women that have been indoctrinated with this liberal nonsense, they're going to have to die off. And then the phoenix is going to have to rise from the ashes. What we went from being an impact. And see, this person sounds very idiotic because what they're saying is not based on statistics or reality. We went from being one of the most married group of people to being kids being born at over 80% in single parent homes. But this idiot is saying that I gotta reconcile this neoliberal nonsense because that's what's best for them. I'm not reconciling nothing because as a licensed therapist, I know that children do better when they're in homes, when they're in two-parent intact homes, where they have strong leadership from the father and nurturing from the mother. So I don't have to reconcile the damn thing because I see it all in my kids. My kids are good kids. They ain't perfect, but they are healthy. But see, me being a masculine man there is abnormal, guys. Because let me tell you something. If I was a single man again, I would never marry the typical American woman. I wouldn't even look at them. But it's becoming so dysfunctional now that what was normal now is dysfunctional. What was normal is dysfunctional now. This neoliberal Marxist nonsense is metastasizing at an all-time high. And they're going to these universities and what they're making is a bunch of weak men. But here's what they don't tell you. I don't give a damn what a woman say. At a woman's hard drive, a woman want a masculine man. She can talk about this partnership BS all she wants to. Every now and then, a woman want a man say, listen, I love you, babe, but you're talking too much. A woman want a man every now and then say, you're talking too much because it's biochemically hardwired. A woman want a man that every now and then say, listen, you need to set your ass down. You're talking too much. We're not going by no damn partnership stuff. We're going to follow it this way. And either you with it or you ain't. But you got these old weak men that are neckbeards that do what these women say, tap dance, and kiss their ass. And those women don't respect those men at a cerebral basis. They really want the strong masculine men that call them out on their BS. They don't really respect the Umar Johnsons of the world and these lying preachers that tell them what they want to hear. And as I said before, guys, I grew up in the church. I still believe in the teachings of Jesus. I believe he's the Messiah. I believe he's the Most High. That's what I believe. I believe he's the Son of God. I believe that. I believe he's the only begotten of the Father. I believe in the divine Trinity. I believe in the Godhead. I believe in the patriarchs. I believe in Jehovah. I believe in Yahweh. I believe in the Most High, the Old Testament. I believe in all of that. But I do believe that Christ is the Messiah and that God is order. But you can't say that no more. And so it'll be a cold day in hell as a masculine man if I let a damn woman tell me how to run my house. You can call me toxic masculinity. You can try to shame me all you want to. I'm going to tell you to go sit your ass down, or you get with a weak man that you can run this damn house. But we're not sharing no power in my home. Ron Will said something that I've said for years before I heard Ron say it. Ron talks about the sovereignty of a man. And I've said this before Ron said it on YouTube, but shout out to Ron Wills for saying it as well. You're sovereign as a man, and as a sovereign male, you never compromise your power. You let that woman know, especially if you've done the work, you work hard. You work hard, you went to school, you study, you make good choices. Here's my program. Either you can follow my program or you can take your ass on. Because let me tell you, man, something. If you're a masculine man like myself that make good money or is making good money, you went to school, you studied hard, you went to elite schools, you don't have to take no BS from no woman. You let that woman know what your expectations are. And I'm not saying not to love your woman. I'm not saying not to allow your woman to delegate certain things to your wife. But I see so many damn weak men now with their wives. They say, well, I'm in the doghouse. You know, I got to be careful because my wife might get mad. I said, man, you sound like a damn fool. I wish I would be in my house to the point I'm scared about what my wife said. I'm not saying I'm not going to be obnoxious or disrespect my woman, but I'm not going to be damn tap dancing. My wife might be scared. My wife might be upset that I'm getting upset. But I'm not going to be damn tap dancing and I ain't going to say that because, you know, if I say that, she might get mad. I don't give a damn you get mad. You can get mad. I don't care if you get mad. If you get mad because I'm telling the truth, I don't give a damn about you getting mad. Because once again, men of old, their yes was their yes and their no was their no. And I don't care how liberal a woman is, a woman want a man that's a man. A woman want a man that will check that ASS when she get out of line, when she get wrong. A woman want a man that will tell her, say, listen, you doing too much. You need to sit your ass down because you don't know what you're talking about. And she can call you toxic. She can say you abusive. They're going to use all them damn buzzwords they want to try to control you and manipulate you. Once again, there's a such thing called healthy shame, and there's a such thing called unhealthy shame. Healthy shame will make you autocorrect and do the right thing. Hold for a minute. Healthy shame will make you autocorrect and do the right thing. But unhealthy shame, which is totally different, is totally different. Unhealthy shame, a lot of times, keep you in a state of bondage where you don't grow, where you don't self-reflect, where you don't know what your identity is as a man. That's unhealthy shame. And so if you get with a woman that more or less try to keep you a slave of unhealthy shame, like we're partners or we're equal, that neoliberal stuff that's based in Luciferianism, then it's a problem. Because see, Lucifer thought he was equal to God, but then Lucifer did what modern women do. Lucifer played the victim, just like God. You know, he didn't like what the Most High was doing, so Lucifer played the victim. He played the victim, and he made God seem like he was bad. Just like John Milton's Paradise Lost, Lucifer made God seem like he was the bad person. And that's what modern women do. They play the victim after they create chaos. They create chaos, but then they play the victim. They throw the rock, and then they hide their hand. And you see it all in society now where they throw the rock and hide their hand. But this person is going to damn tell me what I need to change and how I need to damn see the world. I need to see the world different, no different. When I know what something is true, I'm not changing anything. She said you had to figure out what works for your partnership, not what your parents had, not what anyone has for you. Y'all have these archaic expectations. This is what this ignorant person said. This jackass said we got archaic expectations, but these same jackasses expect you and I and traditional men to be providers and pay all the damn bills. You see how stupid that is? You want to be modeling when it benefits you, but you still want men to pay bills. You don't want to go 50-50. You don't want to change tires and do all the things the men had to do. So until you build the world, until you build the world from the damn ground up, until you create cars and manage the electric grids and create power lines and all that, what you say don't mean nothing to me. Because mankind built this. Y'all have these archaic explanations when you get into relationships and then disappoint yourselves when someone doesn't live up to y'all. Don't doubt. Y'all mess up your own lives with that 1920 expectation. This person sounds like a damn fool. Let me tell you something, man. You don't have to listen to an idiot like this person. This person is an idiot. I would say that men, American men, are more egalitarian than most men. What American men allow, other countries and cultures don't allow it. Other cultures don't allow women to run over them and to talk out of line and no damn partnership. In other cultures, the man is the leader. And there's no damn ifs, ands, and buts about it. In other cultures, the man is the leader and the women follow the male's leadership. But once again, these conversation guys are becoming more and more circular. It ain't going to change in our lifetime. And it's okay. It's okay to say, you know what, it ain't going to change in our lifetime. Women that tell the truth and speak the truth, they don't like those women. And as Bella Bachelor said, we allowed it. Hold on, let me play something Bella Bachelor said. He said, we allowed it. He's right. We allowed it because we didn't gatekeep it. He's correct. Let me play this a little bit. Y'all can hear me hit one.
Or a small business owner.
And let me tell you guys something. Me and Bella Bachelor are around the same age. We grew up around the same time.
Just awesome stuff.
Bella Bachelor and I are around the same age. He used to live in Raleigh, and he used to live in North Carolina. And we grew up around the same time, guys. But men, we gotta take some level of accountability. I'm not talking about me because I've always spoken out. But to the men that haven't spoken out, you gotta take some level of accountability because we've allowed and we've compromised our sovereignty as men. We've allowed the disrespect. We've allowed certain women to come into men's circles to change the conversation to the point you gotta water it down, because these women in modern times want modernism, but they still expect you to be traditional. Like this idiot gonna tell me about men being archaic, but they still expect a man to pay all the damn bills. So if that's the case, ma'am, then don't take it personal when men say we're not paying all the bills. That's why the soft guy era was so powerful, because the women use reverse psychology on men for so long and say, they'll say, if you can't afford me, that you're broke. So when the men start using reverse psychology and say, well, if you can afford a soft guy like a soft king like me, just say it. But when men start talking about the soft guy era and men being in that soft guy era, then all of a sudden the women saying you men are weak. So once again, which one is it? They want traditional heteronormative masculinity when it benefits them. But because they are rebellious, they don't want to be under male leadership. They don't want to respect male leadership. They want to do what they want to do. And as I said before in the past, good women understand that they have a dark nature. A good man understands that he has a dark nature. But good men and good women do not operate in their dark nature or their dark energy. They find a way to subvert that dark nature and that dark energy. Good men and good women find a way to subvert that dark nature and that dark energy. They don't live by their dark nature, and they don't operate in dark energy. They don't adhere to it. They know it's there, but they just don't adhere to it because they know it's wrong. But nowadays, they don't care about anything. They don't damn try to more or less stick to their dark nature or their dark energy. They live by it. And they're trying to shame you if you don't live by your dark nature and your dark energy. And that's the difference of women now compared to women of the past. Women of the past not only had good emotional intelligence, but they were highly aware how their nature could be bad and how their nature could be dark. And so, but now when you try to have the conversation and change the conversation, they'll get mad at you. But she'll say, as a woman, I agree. We women, lioness, not female hyenas, love and respect masculine men. My husband has corrected me before. It was uncomfortable, but it didn't do the infraction again. Yes, and you know what? Bashur, shout out to you. You are a gem. And shout out to your husband, Sister Bashur. You are a gem, because a wise woman can take correction. The good book said that a wise man will change, but a fool will never change. The modern woman is a fool because she will never change. She lacks self-awareness. She lacks self-introspection. She's always the victim. Victimhood is her power base. She doesn't understand her dark nature, the dark side of female nature. She doesn't respect structure or order, and she doesn't respect a masculine men. She wants masculine men to be a tool for her own damn selfish needs. And that's why they get mad when we have these conversations. Now, I'm trying to tell you men through the process of empowerment that you do not have to more or less sacrifice your masculinity as a man. If you make good choices your whole life, you don't have to settle for a woman that's been ran through. Now, you might say, well, how will you know? Well, there's ways to know. If you make good choices your whole life, You don't have to get with a woman that got a bunch of kids by multiple men. If you make good choices your whole life, and you make good choices, you built wealth, you got a nice home, you got a nice car, you don't have to settle for nonsense. If you're a good man that made good choices, get your passport and travel. And sadly, like this poor woman. This poor woman is not covered. Look at her, guys. Let me show you guys something. Hold on. Look at this woman, guys. This woman is not covered. Look at her. She's not covered. This poor woman is not covered, guys. She got a hairhead on her head and look like she's on drugs. She's not under the covering of a masculine man. Look at her. Look how crazy. Look at her walking all in the street. Look at her. Look at her, guys. About to get hit because she's not covered. Probably is rebellious. Look at her, guys. Look at her. Look, y'all look at it. Look at it, guys. Hold on for a minute. Y'all look at this woman. Look like she's on drugs or something. Got a hairhead and she's not covered by a masculine man. And only thing I can say, guys, is that you can just laugh at them. You can just laugh at them because the world's getting worse and worse. These hyenas ain't gonna damn change. The hyenas ain't gonna change. The spam is not gonna change. And hold on for a minute. I don't know what's going on. This woman, like she damn. I don't know. She fell out. I don't know what happened. Hold on for a minute, guys. Hold on. Let me show you guys some. Hold on. But this is what. Let me show you guys some. Hold on for a minute. Let me get out. Get on my car real quick. This woman, like she's on drugs or something. Hold on. But guys, this is what it looks like when a woman's not covered by a masculine man. This is what the lack of a male cover looks like. And you got a lot in theology. It talks about bald-headed women, and you got a lot of women, guys, that are bald-headed because they're not covered. There she goes. Y'all see her? Look at her walking all in the street, all crazy. She's a bald-headed woman because she's not covered by a masculine man. Look at her. Might end up getting hit. And you know what the problem is, guys? They don't want masculine leadership. And they don't care. Look at her all in the middle of the street. Look at her. Let me show you guys something. Look at her. Look at her. Look at her. These are your queens. Look, guys. These are your queens. Look at her, guys. Look. All in the middle of the street. Uncovered. Uncovered for a myriad of reasons. Could be uncovered because she's on drugs, so she just don't have a masculine man in general. Look at her. Even the kids. Look at the kids recording. If she don't get out of the road, she's going to get killed. But see, remember, they don't need you till they need you. Remember, they're strong and independent. They don't need a man. And that's what's going to happen with a lot of them. Look at her. Oh, well, look at the kids recording. Look at these children recording. And she all in the street. Look at her, guys. Look, y'all look at this. This is what dysfunction looks like. Don't know what's wrong with her. This is what dysfunction looks like, guys. This is what happens when you're uncovered. Look at this. Look at this, guys. This is what happens when you're uncovered. This woman don't get out of the street, she's gonna get hurt. But guess what, guys? You can't save them. You can't save them, guys, because remember, they're strong and independent. They don't need a man. Look at her. All in the middle of the street. How you doing, sir? All in the middle of the street. Look at her. Look at her. Probably on drugs. Hold on for a minute. Probably on drugs, guys. All in the middle of the street. This is your queen. Strong and independent. I'm not laughing at the woman because I feel sorry for her, but you can tell she's on something. But that's what happens when you're not under the covering of a man. That's going to get even worse, guys, as the world get worse and worse. They're going to start turning to drugs and alcohol and even tricking, selling their bodies because they don't have the covering of a masculine man. And let me tell you, being that are single, yeah, this is crazy, man. You got to leave them to their own devices. You can't save them and you shouldn't save them. Let them be left to their own devices, sadly. Because, as I said before, guys, a lot of them are bald-headed women. They're bald-headed, and you got to damn leave them to their own devices because, as I said earlier, men of them don't want male leadership. They don't want male leadership, and they don't respect male leadership. They only want it when it's convenient. Remember, your grandfathers and your fathers built this world that they benefit from. Y'all see this beautiful park that I'm at right now. Look how nice this park is, the architecture of this park. The hands of a man created this, not a woman, but the hands of a man created this beautiful park. Very nice park. Men worked in sweat, blood, and tears to build this damn park. The internet that they use to become misandric towards men and other good women, because there are good women that support good men, but those women are becoming far and few in between. Women like Bashir is few. Women like Crimson is few. And it's not a lot of them. It's a remnant, but it's not a lot. And so they don't want to hear the truth, guys. And so when they say, oh, you know, old talking points and, you know, all this nonsense, you listen, man, you don't have to sell for listen, y'all don't have to sell for no damn BS if you made good choices your whole life. If you made good choices, you ain't got no kids by other women, your money is stable, you're healthy, you eat clean, you take care of your health. Because I got a show coming up soon called Hospice Husbands. I don't believe a man should be a hospice husband either. I think a man should do everything in his power to, if he get married to a woman, that woman don't have to be a primary caretaker. I mean, if you drunk, you didn't take care of your body in your 20s. You did a lot of drugs and alcohol, and you know, you fat, you don't work out, you don't drink plenty of water, you don't take vitamins, you don't get your sleep. And then you want a woman to come and be a hospice husband. I don't believe in that. I think that's selfish. I don't think a woman should have to damn take care of a man that made bad choices his whole life. But I'm talking to good men that make good choices like Top Gun, brothers I talk to all the time. They make good choices their whole life. Don't you settle for this BS here in America, because there's nothing here, and it's getting worse and worse, guys. It's getting worse and worse. And to those that say, you know, some of these simp preachers to tell you to marry these women that make bad choices their whole life and put a ring on their finger and support a damn community. Don't you do it. Don't listen to damn Umar Johnson, that static blackness nonsense, because that's all it is nonsense. Static blackness is nothing but a cult, and static blackness is nonsense, because static blackness does not support the sovereignty of a man. If a man don't respect your sovereignty, then you know you can't listen to men like that. If a man is not supporting your sovereignty as a male, you can't listen to men like that. Let me play this about Better Bachelor real quick, and I'm gonna get out of here because I gotta go. I'm going home and I'm gonna look at this basketball game.
I haven't been on.
Well, listen to what Better Bachelor saying. Hold on.
As far as doing videos for about the last, I don't know, week and change, and there's a good reason for that, because the world has gone completely crazy. And
he's
I
right.
decided to spend a lot of time off the internet instead of on the internet. Thus, it makes it very difficult to find news stories about. But the news stories that I have seen this week that I want to briefly mention before I get on to my main point is, number one, there was a woman who was unclothed, a larger black woman, who decided to start throwing hands with...
Now listen, guys. Now listen, guys. Listen, I didn't know... listen, this show is not pre-recorded. This is live. This is live. Now listen, guys, this is almost prophetic. It just happens to coincide with what Bella Bachelor is talking about. You guys just saw a woman walking in the middle of the street high on drugs or high on something, uncovered by a man. But yet Bella Bachelor is talking about a story of a woman that was unclothed and she attacked a man. See, that's what happens when you live in a society where you don't have men to cover you and you don't follow male leadership. And you're seeing them you're seeing a lot of these women suffering are more or less being victims of their own ignorance because they don't want the leadership of a man. Now listen to what he's saying, because it mirrors the story that we're looking at now, guys. Hold on.
He goes to handcuff her, she shoves him to the ground, and then jumps in his police car, and while he's trying to pull her out of his police car as she's in the driver's seat, she turns on the car, backs it up, almost running over him, and then speeding off. And they finally catch her and obviously take her into custody. She almost ended the guy by backing the police officer, by backing over his head. She's found not guilty of anything because apparently she was suffering a mental issue.
Hello, beautiful. If you are feeling stuck in your job,
now remember, guys,
break through the glass.
These same women don't want the leadership of a man. And you know, me and Top Gun talk a lot, and some other brothers in the back end we talk. They don't want the leadership of a man. They don't want the guidance of a man. They only want your leadership and guidance when it benefits them. He said this woman was naked and she was attacking people. Now, this is going to only get worse as animation take over. It's going to only get worse as men continue to check out. It's going to only get worse when women continue to minimize masculinity and masculine leadership. I don't give a damn how much money you make. You weren't made to be over men. Get over it. Because at the end of the day, men got the highest burden. We die off earlier because of stress and because we work ourselves to death, and then partially because we don't take care of our bodies and we don't go to the doctors like we should. Some of it is self-inflicted, and some of it is a byproduct of expectations. So this day I'm get over it. you know, you were made for us. We weren't made for you. Women were made for men, and men are supposed to protect their women, die for their women, to love their women. But once again, these women now, these weak simps, will tell you damn something different. But hold on.
No, all charges dropped against her. The second one is I see two kids get into it in a bathroom, and one of the guys smashes the other one in the back of his neck into a sink, and it ends up killing him. And that apparently everybody's outraged because the kid deserved to be ended because apparently he said a racial slur, so it's okay that the other kid ended up unaliving him.
Right.
And the third one is actually from Germany.
Yeah. You're right, but sure, they don't respect male authority. They don't respect it. Right. They want a crown. They want a cross. They want a crown with no cross. They want a crown, but they don't want the cross. They want the benefits of male leadership, but they don't want to follow male leadership. And that's why I tell men over and over again, if she ain't following your leadership, if she don't respect your leadership, Top Gun, you crazy as hell. Top Gun said, Top Gun said, Kosher, donate a bonnet to cover her. Yeah, man, it'll make her look even worse. She might look like the modern day of Von Esther. But you're right, but sure, they don't want male leadership. They don't want it. And guess what, guys? Don't give it to them. Let them fall by the wayside. Let them fall by the wayside. But sure say, I'm grateful for the covering that my husband provides. Because of this, I have no problem serving him. I'm listening while making veal cutlets for dinner. That sounds good, sis. That sounds real good. She probably got some kosher veal cutlets. Shout out to Sister Bashua and all the righteous sisters that try to follow male leadership and respect their husbands. Because let me tell you something, guys, the world is getting more and more dark. It's getting more and more crazy. As inflation goes up, as communities continue to dissolve, as women continue, these modern women continue to push these liberal talking points, more men are going to check out. More men are going to become indifferent. And then you got a generation of men that don't know how to be men. Masculine men like myself, we're seen as weird, you know, but it was just normal to be masculine years ago. And most women won't tell you, but they really want a masculine man. They want a man that tells them to be quiet and go sit your ass down somewhere when they're being disrespectful. We're talking about being disrespectful, but hold on.
Mind you, I'm getting to a point, mind you. A German police officer, Roven L., has died after a refugee from Afghan knifed him in the neck, and now he's gone. And what I found interesting about this, because I did see some video, and I did see some photos from the incident, is that this is how it seemed to me, and I think this is very quick, and then we'll get to my point. A German man was trying to stop this Afghan refugee from sticking people with a blade.
Now listen. Now listen. The man is trying to stop an Afghan refugee, guys. See, these are these neoliberal talking points. The Afghan is trying to stop. The Afghan is trying to stop. I mean, the man is trying to stop the Afghan refugee. But yet, the man gets stabs in the neck, and the police attacks the man instead of attacking the refugee. So right is wrong, wrong is right, up is down, down is up. And you're right, but sure, you mentioned Dr. Umar earlier. He has 2 daughters from 2 different baby mamas, yes. And he's not setting a good example. Yeah, and what they say all the time, Bashir, is ashe. But he's being ashy while he's saying ashe because he is spam. He's a simp that panders against men. He's a simp that panders against men. He don't stand firm in masculinity. He don't stand firm in masculine virtues. He creates the. He's the reason for some of the chaos that he complains about. And we see it over and over and over again. They're part of the reason of the chaos that they complain about. And that's why, guys, as I said once again, you can't take some of these down that they complain about. They're causing the chaos that they complain about. And what a lot of folks don't like, they don't like the fact that men are waking up finally. Men are knowing what their worth is and what their rights are. They're setting high standards, and they're not going to be shamed by this neoliberal nonsense. Because I wish a woman would. I'm talking about she a partner. You ain't no partner. You're not my partner. You're my wife. And if you're not willing to be a wife, then you're not ready to be with me. If she's not willing, guys, to be a wife, then she's not ready to be with you. And so once again, the world's getting crazier and crazier, more violent, more darker, and men are beginning to check out. Listen to what Bella Bachelor said. He's correct. Hold on.
Tackle the citizen who's trying to stop the guy with the blade. The police then help the Afghan citizen, illegal refugee, up off the ground. And then, something fell in the woods, very large. And then, while the police officer was busy subduing the German man that was trying to stop him with his blade, while the police officer was getting ready to handcuff him, the refugee comes up and sticks the cop a couple of times with the blade. And then, of course, the police officer have to vaporize the stunning and brave refugee. And they leave the white guy, the German guy, on the ground, bleeding out, because they kind of forget about him. And then the woman, I wrote this down so I got it in order. And then they notice, oh yeah, one of our German citizens over here bleeding on the ground because he was knifed. And then a woman,
now listen,
walks over and cuffs him.
The German citizen that was trying to protect against the Afghan immigrant, he gets handcuffed while he's bleeding out. And so good people get punished, dysfunctional people get prizes. Good people get punished, dysfunctional people get prizes. And that's the world that we live in, guys, now. Up is down, down is up. And there are simps that pander against men. They don't want traditional masculinity. They don't want to hear it. They don't respect it. The only thing they hear and respect are men that more or less placate, or women that placate to their, the only they hear is men that placate to their ego and tell them what they want to hear. But they don't want male leadership until it benefits them. And that's why I'm telling you, men, to set standards and to know what power you have as a man.
Where we are right now, current year. And I see these stories, and then it's like, hey, do you want to do a video about women behaving badly? And I say, no, not really. I really, frankly, don't care right now about that kind of stuff. And then I've done a couple of videos, and I do have a few people that post and that say, hey, man, can you stay away from politics? And I watch the guy I'm probably going to vote for in our election being thrown in jail, or at least they're attempting to throw him in jail on some bogus charges. I see criminals being let free, and I see these things, and I say, do I really feel like arguing about women today? Do I really feel about talking about relationships? And I think I've moved on past that. And I ask myself, what do I really want to talk about? Because I don't want to talk about politics. But I turn on the news, I turn on social media, I turn on just about everything. Hell, movies now are about politics. It's about the message, it's about the brand, it's the LGHD TV community. The news it bums me out. I find that I want to get a little bit of news so I know what's going on, and then I want to turn off the internet. But for me to normally do my content, I have to chew through hours and hours and hours of the internet. And so what have I been doing recently?
Listing your house on the market isn't the only way to
Hold on,
sell your
guys.
house. Selling to us is much faster.
Recently, I've been gaming. I've been watching old movies. I've been exercising. I've lost about 10 pounds since the last video I did by doing some fasting and eating better and doing some exercise. I still am not sleeping very well at night because fasting screws with your sleep schedule. I notice now
Right.
when I'm thinking...
You're right, Tim. Shout out to Tim for being a member for 5 months. He said today's world's up. Today's world up is down and down is up. Yeah. I agree with you 100%, brother. I'm going to be driving, guys. Hold on.
The news and politics, because they're invading my life and they're sowing chaos throughout everything that we experience. I want to talk about inflation. I want to talk about monetary policy that's failing us. I want to talk about the EU and its open borders. I want to talk about China surrounding Taiwan with a military drill to see how the United States is going to respond. I want to talk about the escalation in Ukraine. I find that those things are the things that I'm paying attention to because those are the things that are affecting my life. The amount of money I have in my pocket, whether they're going to start drafting young people to go off into battle, whether we're going to have 10 or 20 extra million people here in the United States, and in the UK it's, I think about 1 million a year now. I don't even know what it is for the European Union. Those are the things I want to pay attention to. And a lot of you didn't sign up for that. A lot of you wanted to sign up to watch me do funny videos about girls behaving badly. And you know how many stories I've seen?
And once again, guys,
this week?
it's like a cancer. And I see why people check out social media sometimes because it's draining. It can be draining. It's toxic. Some of the people that you talk to, you realize they ain't gonna never change, man. And that's why I do these shows. Once again, you got a generation of men that are being raised by their mothers. They're nothing but spam. Simps pandering against masculinity. They don't want to hear what you're saying. They don't respect what you're saying. They don't understand what you're trying to say. And when we try to have a bigger conversation, or when we try to talk about issues that are more pertinent to truth and masculinity, most don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it because most don't care about it. And once again, instead of the churches, as I said earlier, preaching the truth and telling the truth, the churches don't even tell the truth anymore. Sadly, some of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. And so the chaos continued because the ecclesia was supposed to be the salt of the earth. Theology says that the church is the salt of the earth. But you don't see it no more in the church anymore, guys, sadly. And, you know, like I said, guys, you know, the more things change, the more things remain the same. And you got men like Bella Batchelor that stand firm on masculine virtues and principles. And then you got others that don't stand on masculine virtues and masculine principles. And they make the conversation that we're trying to have as men worse and worse and worse. So anyway, guys, I just want to show a dichotomy between, shout out to Top Gun for being a member for 6 months. He said, Kosher, be careful. It could be the kosher kush. It's looked like a car, the car with the Tennessee plates following you. Yeah, you're funny, man. But yeah, man, you know, like I said, you know, it's just a more, the more things change, the more things remain the same. These neoliberal politics, these neoliberals, and these neoliberal talking points, guys. And sadly, I hate to report that what we had in yesterday is not going to ever come back to how it used to be in the past. It's done. It's over with. It's going to take generations to get it right. If anybody tell you about saving the community, they're delusional because it can't be saved. And it is what it is. If you know you've done everything in your power to try to be an icon of virtue, because the thing about truth is this: there's a time you need to exalt, meaning you tell people how great they are and you show love, but also there's a time when you have to reteach, and there's a time you have to be rebuked. And actually, theology talks about that. But the world that we knew of yesterday is gone. You know, I take pleasure in saying that I was part of Gen X. I'm Gen X. I came out of high school in the class of 1990. 1990, you know, the 90s weren't perfect, but, you know, men and women had better relationships. Women did that dirt back in the 90s, but they just hid it better. They, you know, they weren't out hoeing around and it was shameful. So they did dirt, but, you know, a lot of them, you know, just hid it. But then there were a lot of women that didn't count it robbery to cook for their man. But now social media, and the internet has made average to subpar women think they're great. And now to the point, you got a dichotomy between men like Bella Batchelor that believes in logic and precision. And like I say, listen, I don't hate Umar Johnson. I like Umar. Umar got some good talking points. I've listened to some of his talking points. But Umar is a hypocrite. And he's a reflection of the chaos that he complains about. And so, like I said, guys, the chaos keeps going on and on and on and on. And as I said earlier in the show, guys, there are a lot of men that talk masculinity and they talk about masculine frame and all that nonsense. But a lot of these men, they're not even leaders in their own home. They don't lead their homes. Their women lead them. You know, and I'm not talking about anything draconian where a woman can't have any say. I said that several times earlier and in prior shows. But as a man, you got to set structure and order. You got to set structure and order in the home. And you can't be a slave to your woman's feelings. Because if it gets to the point where you allow your wife to control you through her feelings, then you're worshiping that woman's feelings instead of standing firm in your principles as a man. And as I said, any man that attacked Crimson Cure, a traditional woman, I got a problem with it. How can a man attack a traditional woman? That's weird to me. How can a man attack a woman that's standing on the virtues of masculinity and supporting masculine men? I got a problem with that, but I don't have a problem with it. Well, actually, I do understand it, because when you've been raised by your mama and that's all you know is your mama, and the only thing you identify with is your mama, then it makes sense. It's a mental conditioning and it's a mental pathology. It's called the over identification of the feminine. And it's gotten worse and worse. I saw it when I taught school years ago, and also when I worked in law enforcement. So I'm not shocked by it. You know, it's actually understandable. And so, guys, I'm gonna end this stream. I just want to let you guys listen to the dysfunction that we see, and we saw something firsthand a minute ago. We actually saw something firsthand a minute ago with this woman walking in the street looking like she was on drugs. Because as I said before, guys, this woman was not covered by a masculine man. And as the world continues to subside into chaos, you're going to see a lot of women on drugs. You're going to see a lot of women walking in the street. You're going to see a lot of women uncovered. You're going to see a lot of women with hair hats on their head because they're not covered by a masculine man. Hold on.
Not too many. Because the normal news sources and the normal places that I go to listen and watch videos and get the information that I forward on to you guys about women behaving badly, they're not talking about women behaving badly anymore. They're talking about the more serious stuff. And everything seems to be getting amplified and more serious.
He's right.
And so then it's kind of like, well, do I want to do puff pieces? Or do I want to talk about serious stuff? I think I want to talk about the serious stuff, but a lot of you didn't sign up for the political, a lot of you are not in the United States. A lot of you are overseas, and you don't care about United States politics, or you don't care about European politics. I really don't either, except I'm kind of being forced into it. So I don't know what I'm going to do as far as content, at least for YouTube. Now for locals, the guys over on locals, they signed up to watch me on a lot of different things, so they know I do news takes and things like that. I think more people have actually, my political stuff does a little better over on Rumble as well. So not much of it does very well on YouTube. And again, I don't want to kind of trash my channel by getting into politics when a lot of you didn't sign up for that. So I don't know if I'm gonna make a new channel on YouTube. I don't know if I'm just gonna put my political stuff over on Rumble and on locals, and then leave YouTube for the occasional goofy story that I see about women or marriage or things like that. Because I'm sure more will come around, but just not right now. And there's just no news stories covering it. For the last 4 or 5 days, I've been scrolling through Twitter and scrolling through Reddit and scrolling through the usual places that I go to get my material, and all they're talking about is politics and the woke and everything going to trash. So.
Dandale Fence is your trusted source for quality fencing. Whether it's a vinyl fence.
And once again, guys, it's definitely going in the trash.
The world is changing quickly, and not for the better. I think we've got a lot of bigger problems than women behaving badly right now. If you notice, like from the Andrew Tates and the Pearly Things and the Fresh and Fit and all the usual suspects that you see talking about this stuff, no one's even paying attention to them anymore.
Right.
They've kind of become irrelevant because people are like, yeah, we get it. But there's other things that I think we need to pay attention to right now. I'm going to focus more energy into that. And I haven't felt like focusing energy into that. I've been taking that angst and frustration and just saying, okay, I'm off news for a little while. But at what point do we have to talk about what's going on in the world and what are we going to do and what happens if Taiwan falls to China? What happens?
Right. And let me tell you something, guys. Let me tell you, man, something. Let me tell you, man, something. The world is cascaded into an abyss of darkness at an alarming rate. Shout out to Top Gun for that 5. I'm gonna read it in a minute when I get stationary. But the world is cascading into the abyss of darkness at an alarming rate. The world is cascading. Inflation, you talk about BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and I guess Singapore. I don't know if Singapore is the Soviet Union. You're talking about the American dollar changing right before our eyes. You're talking about all this liberal stuff that's proliferating right before our eyes. The moral fabric is being destroyed right before our eyes. All this woke stuff is being shoved down our throats. Everything our ancestors stood for and believed in years ago is being minimized right before our eyes. And mental illness and mental distress is at an all-time high. Like you saw that woman a minute ago in the middle of the street, probably on some fentanyl. Sadly, she's probably on fentanyl because she's not covered. Now, she was covered on her husband and she was covered on a male's leadership. She probably have those issues. But what a lot of women do, many of them do, they'll take their own anecdotal experiences and equivocate that all to black men. And we know there's some men out here that are unsavory. We know there's some men out here that's called pain. But I believe you got more female dysfunction. You have black male dysfunction. I don't know if it's by much, but I think you got more. But sadly, it's beginning to look like that a lot of men are becoming, there's a percentage of men that are becoming just as dysfunctional. Because, like Brother Batchelor was saying, about 68% of our women are Democrats. And about 50% of men are Democrats. So you got about a 20% difference between the amount of men and women that are Democrats, 68% women. So you got more left-leaning women than you have left-leaning men. It's about split down the middle when it comes down to traditionalism, conservatism. And so I hate to be the bearer of the bad news, guys, but I don't see things proliferate for the best in our lifetime. It's done for, it's over. And guess what? It's okay. It's okay. You just got to see it for what it is.
And the stuff that I normally talk about really just nobody seems to care about so much because we've got bigger issues. And so it kind of leaves me in a place of I don't know what to do, at least for you YouTube viewers. For my other viewers on Rumble Locals, I'm pretty much going to do business as usual. And it's probably going to be some more news coverage than usual. But for you on YouTube, I know you didn't sign up for the politics, but I'm really kind of running out of ideas for what to do after 5 years of complaining about the ladies. No one's really caring anymore. They've kind of given up on it. They're saying, okay, we get it. But now we're moving on to serious stuff. And now we're entering, I don't know, phase 2 or 3 of the culture war where businesses start failing and enterprises start folding. So I don't know
Right. He's correct. And guys, the only reason why I talk about it because it's evergreen content, and it's continuing to show the dysfunction. But there are bigger things to talk about, more important things to talk about, and more challenges to talk about as we continue to cascade into an abyss of darkness. And it's what a lot of theologians teach is something called the New World Order, the One World Government. It's going to happen. It's the reign of Lucifer, but it's going to be temporary. Some call it the zeitgeist, or some call it the spirit of this age. But it'll only be temporary, because the Most High God, Yahshua, Jehovah, will always win. Let me read our cash out by my man Top Gun. Top Gun, appreciate it. You and Gregory Scott made the #1 sponsor. I'm going to get somewhere and read this comment real quick. Read some of these comments before I end the stream. And guys, thank you to the 12 that were in. It was just ironic that we saw a woman walking up the street uncovered. And you're going to see a lot more women uncovered as men continue to check out, as men continue to self-reflect, as men continue to know what their worth is. Let these neoliberal, crazy, purple-haired women continue to believe in that nonsense and that foolishness. And let them damn continue to think men are partners, men and women are partners. The masculine men are going to stay where they're at, and they're going to stand firm in their masculine pursuits. And the other women, they're going to be left behind. But Top Gun said that I heard a quote in 1988, boys want to be men, but act like 304s, and 304s want to be men and wear boys' clothes. That was back in 1988. That was back in yeah, man, you're right. They were saying that back in 1988. And you know what? Top Gun, I remember a song by the Whiners. The Whiners made a song back in the 80s saying, bring back the days of yay and nay. And they were saying that about damn near 35 years ago, almost 40 years ago, they were saying, bring back the days of yay and nay. So the world was already beginning to deteriorate back in the 70s and the 80s. It started in the 60s, but it's proliferated to something totally crazy now. And it's unfortunate, man. It's highly unfortunate. And once again, the only hope I believe is in God and Christ. That's what I believe. Because this world ain't changed. They ain't got no better ever since. Harold Melvin the Blue Nose wrote a song back in the 70s. They said, world don't get no better. If you can't change it, then let's just let it be. And I say to all the single men that are single and whatever, you just gotta let it burn, man. Because the comments that I see from many of these women let me know that they ain't gonna change. I got a good show coming up about how the modern woman is no different than Pharaoh and Jezebel. And just like Jezebel and Pharaoh, they were defiant and stubborn on up to the point where they died. They were defiant and stubborn even on up to their own deaths. And just like Jezebel and just like Pharaoh, the modern woman is no different. She's a slave to her ignorance, she's a slave to darkness, and she's a slave to her dark nature. And it's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do in a situation like that, guys, you gotta let the society burn, you gotta let it crumble, and you gotta leave her to her own devices. Theology says that you never answer a fool in accord to his own folly. So you just gotta let her, suffer according to her own devices and just let it burn and let it fall, because it ain't gonna get no better in our lifetime. So anyway, let me finish reading these comments real quick, and I'm gonna end this stream. I got stuff to do, and I wanted to talk about men like Rollo Tomasi versus men like Umar Johnson. You got spam, simps pandering against men. You got the conscious simp and the unconscious simp as a recap, and then you got masculine men that are trying to stand forth in masculine virtue. And more or less trying to delay the decay, but sadly, guys, as I said, the world that we knew it is over with, man. All this love and relationships and all that silly stuff, it's over with. And so it is what it is. Finish reading some of these comments real quick. I'm gonna end the stream. And thank you to the #1 sponsor and Gregory Scott. And Gregory's always showing love. Shout out to Gregory being the #1 sponsor, followed by Top Gun, and followed by KP from KC5, Mr. Cash App. Shout out to him for the $5 Cash App. I appreciate it, brother. And And once again, guys, man, just be on guard, man, and understand, man, that God gonna win in the end. But not only in God, but God win in the end. Masculinity, or true masculinity, always win. And the women that are respectful of their husbands and their leadership, they're going to be protected and covered. The women that don't respect masculine leadership, they will be like the bald-headed women in the Bible. So let me read this real quick, and I'm gonna end this stream. Hold on. Let's see what Soul Seed said. Shout out to all my members that have been supporting me. Top Gun and Gregory, Scotland, Soul Seed, all the good brothers, Barrow Hammer and Barry Hammers. I appreciate you brothers. Always showing love and support. Let me see. He said, yeah, but anyway, we're about to end the stream, guys. I got stuff to do. I'm about to go home and get me some food and get ready for work tomorrow, guys. But once again, the conscious simp versus the masculine man, that's the word that I created. You hear anybody using that word, Top Gun, go ahead and write it down. I created that word, spam, simps, pandering against men. And simps that pander against men are not kosher men or organic, but they are processed. And everything they do is processed. Everything they regurgitate is based on something that they've learned to deceive, trick, and subvert because they don't respect masculine leadership. So anyway, signing off, guys. Y'all take care, and I'll see you guys soon.